Guys, Mrs. Kern here. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of a review of how to do decimal addition and subtraction before we move on to multiplication. So let's take a look first at this problem right here. 30.78 plus 21.69. Now, remember, the most important thing to remember while adding and subtracting decimals is to line up our decimals. If I were to draw a straight line down, my decimals do line up. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure I solve it correctly. So that means adding or subtracting correctly. In this case, I'm subtracting, but automatically I run into a problem. I can't take 9 away from 8. 8 is less than 9. So, what was my rule? I need to come over next door, and get some more. So instead of this being a 7 now, I'm going to take away 10 and make it a 6. And I'm going to add the 1 here because 8 plus 10 equals 18. So that's how I make the 18 here. I'm going to do then 18 minus 9. I'll give you a minute. Correct. It's 8. It's 9. Sorry, 18 minus 9 is 9. Now this is an easy one. 6 minus 6 is correct. 0. Alright. Then my decimals, I want to just bring straight down in adding and subtracting. So I'm just going to add a decimal right here. Alright, once again, 0 is smaller than 1. So think about what you have to do for a minute. Correct. I'm going to want to take the 3, make it a 2, add 10 here. So remember, 0 plus 10 equals 10, which is what we're doing. 10 minus 1 is 9. Now, since 2 minus 2 is 0, I do not need to write the 0. Instead, my final answer is 9.09. Okay. Now, I noticed some people were still having trouble with solving simple problems like these. So let's come up here and let's take a look at your handout. Alright, so they broke it up into 4 easy steps. 1, I want to compare. It says here, look at the numbers. Which one is larger? Which one is larger in value? Put it on top. Which one do you think is larger? If you said 13.4, you are correct. 13 is greater than 8.97. Now, I want to line them up. So, line up the decimals, make sure the larger number is on top. So when I do that, I'm going to put 13.4, and then below it, I'm going to do 8. Remember, I'm lining up my decimals, 0.97. It's okay that the numbers don't line up, okay? But, let me move this closer. It's okay that my numbers don't line up, but again, my decimals do line up in this straight line. That's the key. Alright, so if I were to rewrite this again, I'd say 13.4 and then 8.97. Says fill in the gaps. What do they mean by that? When I take a look over here, it says fill in the gaps with zeros. Okay, I'm going to put a 0 in. Well, where do I have a gap? I have a gap right here. So I'm going to put a 0 right here to fill in the gap. Then I can easily add or subtract. In this case, I'm going to subtract. I want to know the difference. Again, we run into the problem 0 minus 7. Well, what is that? Well, let me again get a little closer, is I need to then borrow. So I'm going to make my 4, 1 less, make it a 3, and make this 10. Then it's easy. 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 minus 9, we can't do that again. I'm going to make this a 2 and make this a 13. 13 minus 9 we can do, and that's 4. Before I forget, I'm going to bring my decimal straight down and put it right here. Now, I can either borrow the 1 and make this 12, or recognize that this is just 12 minus 8, and that is 4. And that is our correct answer. So this is the answer to the problem when we subtract it. Now again, we want to compare which one is larger or bigger. We want to line up the decimals. We want to fill in the gaps with zeros. And then we want to solve the equation. Compare, line it up, fill in the gaps, and solve. All right, let's take a look at another problem. So if I come back here and I wanted to do another problem, let's say I had 14, okay, 0.9, and I wanted to add to it, 14.9, and I want to add 15.38. All right, step 1, compare them. This is the bigger number, so I'm going to put it on top. Now in addition, it really doesn't matter because we're combining them together, but in subtraction, we need to have the bigger number on top because we haven't learned what happens yet when we don't have that. All right, so I take my bigger number and I'm going to write it down first. So I'm going to do 15.38. Now, remember, I need to line my decimals up. Not my numbers, my decimals. So if it helps, writing your decimal first and then look at, okay, what is behind my decimal and my next number? After my decimal is 9, so I'm just going to write a 9. In front of my decimal is the 14, so I'm going to write my 1 and my 4. You want to make sure if your decimals are lined up, your place values are lined up. This is in line, this is in line, this is in line, and this is in line. It's nice and easy. You can see the columns. Now, I'm adding these two together, so I'm going to put my addition sign, and I'm going to draw the line. All right, our next step is to fill in the gaps. We found the bigger one, we compared them, we lined them up. Now we need to fill in the gaps with a 0. If I were subtracting, I'd want that 0 there. I want it when I'm adding too. That way I don't get confused and think, what am I adding it with? Well, I know it's 8. So 0 plus 8, class, is good. It's 8. 9 plus 3, good. 12. Carry the 1. Now, before I get too fast, I'm going to put my decimal in. I could put this in right away if I wanted to. 5 plus 4 plus the 1 I carried is 10. So I'm going to leave the 0 here, carry the 1. 3 ones is 3. So my answer is 30.28. Now, one thing I want to mention is some of you guys have been making mistakes, and that's okay because we're learning. But let's try and make sure we don't make mistakes by doing quick checks in our head. I'm going to look at this and say, does it make sense my answer is 30? This is 15, and this is almost 15, and I know 15 plus 15 is 30. So yeah, I would expect this answer. I would not expect an answer of 302.8. There's no way those two numbers can make this number. So I would know my decimal's in the wrong spot. This is going to be key in the future when we multiply and divide. But not to confuse you, again, our answer is 30.28. Okay, I hope you're feeling good about this. You are now going to do some practice problems. Remember, there's 3 problems to find the sum and 3 to find the difference. 1, compare. 2, line them up. 3, fill in the gaps with zeros. And 4, solve. I will be staying on to do 2 of the problems on your practice sheet. If you are confident, you may turn off this video now. If you want some extra help and guarantee 2 are correct, then stay on. I'm basically giving you the answers. All right, so let's take a quick look. Okay, so the first one is 3.56 plus 11.2. Remember, we're lining up the decimals. This is my bigger number, so I'm going to put it on top. 11.2 plus 3.56. And we're adding. I lined them up. If I want, I'm going to go ahead and write my decimal in right away so I don't forget it. I'm going to fill in the gaps with 0, and then I'm going to add. 0 plus 6 is 6. 2 plus 5 is 7. 3 plus 1 is 4. And then my 1 just comes straight down. 3 plus 11 is 14. So this answer makes sense and is indeed correct. Make sense? All right. Next one. We're going to do a subtraction problem. All right. So this one now is the opposite. We're doing the same numbers, but the opposite. So 3.56, and then we have 11.2, but we want to subtract. So what is the difference? Well, here again is our bigger number, so I'm going to put that on top. Okay, then I'm going to write my smaller number below, lining up my decimals. All right, and difference means subtraction, so I'm going to keep it there. I bring down my decimal right away. All right, we compared, we lined it up, now we fill in the gap with 0. I can't do 0 minus 6. I come over here and I borrow from the 2. I make it a 1 and make this a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Again, I can't do 1 minus 5, so I have to make this a 0, make this 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. Then I can borrow again and make this a 10, or if you saw it, you knew it was a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. And that's how we do it. Hopefully this was easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If not, keep practicing. You're going to get it. All right, do some of the practice problems now, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.